Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're diving into a world of forbidden ideas, a philosophical landscape that's been deliberately kept from you. But we're not going to approach this like a dry lecture. We're going to frame it as a parable.
So let's just kick things off with a big question, one that sets the stage for our entire journey. What if the official history of thought, the one we all learn, is incomplete? What if it has a shadow side, one that's filled with philosophies that were intentionally pushed aside, rejected, or just forgotten?
Here's our roadmap for today's exploration, a parable told in 6 acts. We'll start with the architecture of shadows and take it all the way to blueprints for the Overman. Okay, let's dive in.
Our story starts with the very foundation of this hidden world, a project known as the Shadow Cabinet. Now, you should think of this as an intellectual salvage mission. It's a deliberate, focused effort to unearth the ideas that history has tried really, really hard to bury.
You see, the core idea here is that our official history of thought is missing some huge pieces. It's been shaped by what the source material calls a spirit of contempt, this tendency to just get rid of inconvenient or challenging ideas. And this is the realm of forbidden philosophy.
And forbidden doesn't just mean one thing. This table actually breaks it down beautifully. It's a whole spectrum. You've got ideas in the dark and obscure quadrant that just kind of fell out of fashion, all the way over to philosophies that were intentionally suppressed because they were seen as way too dangerous. And that brings us to Act 2, the Gilded Cage. Because to really get why these ideas were forbidden, you have to understand the world they were a threat to. And that world, well, it's a beautiful prison, a sanctuary of stagnation that was built to eliminate every last drop of risk.
This world, this valley of the last man, it's run by one simple whispering command: play it safe. It's a society that has willingly traded the painful, difficult agony of creation for comfort and predictability. But in doing so, it's forgotten how to die, and because of that, it's forgotten how to truly live.
So who's the architect of this cage? It's a figure called the High Priest, Salvio Pallido. And his whole philosophy is the Pharisees' paradox. See, he isn't looking for truth, not at all. Instead, he uses law and order to build what's called an uncanny mirror, this perfect illusion of safety designed to prove that the abyss, that chaos, just doesn't exist.
And this right here is the heart of the whole conflict. You've got 2 paths. On one side, there's the last man, defined by what's called slave morality, always seeking safety as just another face in the indifferent crowd. On the other side, though, you have the Overman, who embraces the agony of creation and the spirit of becoming. They're not part of the crowd, they're a companion on a much harder journey.
So, into this perfectly safe, perfectly stagnant little world steps an opposing force, an uncanny visitor who doesn't show up to join the party, but to end it. This is the engine of our story, the Red Spectre. The Red Spectre is that intellectual salvage mission we talked about, but personified. It doesn't arrive with a weapon. It arrives as a mirror, reflecting the decay that the Gilded Cage was built to deny. It embodies that final, necessary no to a world that's just stopped moving. In the language of the Shadow Cabinet, the Spectre is the uncanny hook. It operates with something called the logic of zero, a method designed not to build things up, but to tear down delusional security and force you to stare right into the void. It's kind of like an inverted hero, here to reveal all those forgotten truths.
Act 4 brings us to the climax of the whole parable, the Pharisees' paradox playing out in real time. This is it, the inevitable confrontation between Salvio Pallido, the guardian of illusion, and the Red Spectre, the herald of reality.
So here we see the high priest in your sanctuary. He's the master gardener of a poisonous field, and he's using forbidden knowledge as a shield. The specter's arrival acts as a kind of fictine necromancy, reanimating the very truths that Pallido tried to bury, forcing him to finally confront his own spiritual stasis.
The moment the specter arrives, the illusion shatters, and it sparks this desperate chase. The high priest pursues the specter through these 7 symbolic chambers of his abbey, from blue to purple to green, all the way to the final black room. And with every step, he's getting further from safety and closer to an undeniable truth.
And in that final black chamber, there is no big fight. There is only revelation. The specter doesn't even need to act. Its mere presence is enough. The truth of decay and finality is so potent that the polished floor, that uncanny mirror, it just instantly cracks. and the abyss that Salvio Palido spent his life denying is finally brutally revealed.
So what was the point of all that destruction? Was it just nihilism? No. According to this philosophy, it's actually the delivery of a painful but transformative and absolutely necessary gift. This is the crimson gift. It's not a cure, it's a terminal shudder, a moment of absolute, brutal honesty in a world that's been built on comfortable lies. The specter doesn't heal the sick, it reaps the field of vanity so that something stronger, something more authentic can finally be born from the ruins.
And this quote, wow, it just captures the fall of the old world perfectly. The high priest's demise isn't some grand tragedy, it's the final weakest echo of a broken system. This red chapter isn't a disaster, but a necessary end to the prologue, clearing the stage so the real story can finally begin.
So where does all this leave us? With the gilded cage shattered, what comes next? Well, the final act of our parable offers the blueprints for those who are brave enough to build something new from the wreckage. This is the path of the companion, the path toward the overman. And it's not a set of rules, it's a series of challenges. It requires a self-undergoing, a painful process of self-overcoming. It demands you reject comfortable, empty symbols and instead embrace the real agony of creation, to find that spirit of the coming, and ultimately, to have the courage to walk your own tightrope over that now visible abyss.
And this is such a crucial takeaway. This path is not for everyone. It is not for the indifferent crowd. As the philosophy states, greatness is just too expensive for those who worship comfort.
And that is the final, provocative question this whole parable leaves us with. It forces a choice. Now that the uncanny mirror is shattered and the abyss is revealed, what do? Do you try to rebuild the cage, or do you step onto the tightrope? In the end, it asks, are you a companion, or are you the crowd?